What does a foreclosure process look like? Well, I've got Michael D. Frankie here, D for door knocking. Go over to his YouTube channel if you want to learn more about door knocking, pre-foreclosures, and working with pre-foreclosures. This dude's freaking knocking doors live in Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. Okay, great. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about what does the process of a foreclosure look like? Where are the deals typically getting done in this timeline? What is the mindset of the seller while they're going through these steps in the process? How sellers in the beginning are different than the sellers at the end. And Michael Frankie is here to hang out with me. Thanks, bro.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Okay, walk me through this.
Okay, so obviously pre-foreclosure means they're behind on their payments, right? So there's a timeline in each state, and generally you get about 3 months behind is when we start having lenders reach out, okay? What's it like in your state, Pace?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing for us. So let's say here we are in January. They make a payment. You guys can see this on the sheet. They made a payment in January, so they're good. They made a payment in February, so they're good. They skip a payment in March, so they're now 30 days late. They get put on a very specific list, 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day late. Those are a little bit easy. Those lists are easy to get. However, that doesn't necessarily mean the seller's going to go into pre-foreclosure. A lot of times is they just forgot to make their payment. They were going through a hard time. They had to go get a second job. They're by no means ready to sell their house. So a lot of people are reaching out on 30, 60, and 90-day late. However, there are ways that people are getting deals from that. I just think it's probably a lot less. What then happens after 90 days of no payment is they get this thing called an NOD. Michael, what's an NOD?
It's a notice of default. In most states, that's what it's called. In my state, it's called an appointment. But that's the period of time where, an appointment.
Why?
Because a lender appoints a third-party trustee to handle the foreclosure sale.
You're telling me the bank doesn't foreclose on the house?
No, trustee.
They hire somebody?
They hire a trustee to perform the sale. Okay, and in this period of time...
Wow, that's so... I learned something new today. This is why every single day I learn something new. They appoint a trustee to handle the process. We don't call it an appointment, we just call it a notice of default.
So most places would be a notice of default, but this basically says no matter what that document is called, that the lender has the intention to start the foreclosure process. This NOD period depends on the state. I don't know if you know how long yours is. In Kansas City, Missouri area, it's somewhere between a few days to about 45 days. Just depends on the funnel of that particular lender.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Every lender's a little bit different. Their agreements are a little bit different, but overall, ours is about the same time frame. Now, notice of default, where do we find the notice of default?
Okay, so for us, it's posted online. More than likely, most larger counties, metropolitan areas are going to have that online. Okay, and what is the thought process for most of these people that are in notice of default? Okay, there's always going to be a subset of people that want to take action immediately. Imagine a person that's pretty disciplined, they've lived a pretty good financial life, but something has happened. Okay, they've had a major illness, their spouse has passed away, something has happened. They know from the very beginning, I can't afford the back payments. I can't afford the payments moving forward. I need this taken care of now. And that's why it's so important to get to these notice of defaults. Are the majority of people taking action during this period of time? They're not. But the subset of people that are, the deals are ripe for the picking in that period of time.
My experience, and it's been a while since we had a door knocking team, it's been 4 years for me. You actively have a door knocking team, so you have more live touch right now. My experience was about 10 to probably 20% at a very high end of people that are like, I'm aware, I'm logical, I'm not an ostrich with my head in the sand. I know this is only going to get worse, therefore I need to solve my problem right now. Michael is talking about those people, probably 10. Let's say that we have 100 people that go into the NOD process or the appointment process. 100 people, I bet you, would you say I'm about right? About 10% of those people are like, I'm ready to sell right now.
Oh, I think that's fair.
Okay.
And then another aspect of these NODs, you're going out there, let's say you door knock it. What if it's vacant? Okay, we can go back to another video that we just did about vacancy, but the earlier you get there, the likelier you're going to be the first person to get to that heir, the eventual seller. And if you can get to it early in the process, that makes it easier to assign as well.
that's amazing. So he's saying, hey, let's say you reach out to 10 people or you reach out to 100 people, there's a vacant home. Video literally before this one in the playlist was talking about what to do with vacant homes. Now, what's happening is nobody else is going to take that extra time. You are going to be one of very few people that actually will reach out to those vacants. That's money. That's gold is what Michael is saying. Okay, cool. So about 10% of those people are ready to go right now. Awesome. You're reaching out to them like right when the NOD hits.
So for example, I did a YouTube video a few weeks back. I door knocked a guy. The NOD came out.
Okay.
I got an email from my virtual assistant that data had come out within a few minutes on the county records. It happened to be about 5 minutes away from me. I drove over there right away, door knocked the guy. He had just gotten home from work from a night shift. Guy didn't have a shirt on. It was raw, but had a great conversation with him. His wife had passed away 2 years ago. He just was shut down. Did not want to live in the house anymore. Just wanted a little bit of equity to move on. He was going to move to with family in Nebraska. We set up an appointment the next Monday, a few days from there, which I contracted the deal. So guys, I came out with a piece of data, an NOD. I went and door knocked it right away, found motivation. Was he of the 10%? Probably, but it's a $35,000 assignment.
Dude, that's amazing. Okay, great. So money, what you are saying is you're saying the money in the deal, or where you're going to want to reach out is right about here. This is like your first place you're reaching out.
That spot is money.
Okay, and 10% of these people are ready to go. Now, what's the process of the people that don't sell and they start going through this big loop and this big process of, I call this the ostrich egg. Mm-hmm. What, is that how you spell ostrich?
Looks right.
Okay, so these are ostriches.
Eric should be able to tell us if it's spelled right.
What are they trying to accomplish in this loop right here? The people that don't sell right away, what's going on?
So let's say foreclosure sale is set right here, right after the notice of default. That first X amount of time, depending on which market you're in, that's when investors are reaching out to them, their lenders reaching out to them, they're finding out about the situation, and perhaps someone in our shoes, we're gonna go over all of the options. Generally, are you gonna contract a deal here? Probably not. But you start developing that rapport, you start getting that relationship going, that way later in the process, they're more interested in talking to you. Okay, so is there many deals in this spot? No. Not too much. What happens in this kind of middle zone? Okay, that's when the seller is generally either sticking their head in the sand, they're not acknowledging the situation at all, or perhaps they take a lot of our advice from all of the different options we have, or they're communicating with their lender. They're trying to figure out the situation.
I think what they're doing is they're watching Michael D. Frankie's YouTube channel, because D is for door knocking, and they're learning all about foreclosures and wondering, what are my options? Michael, come save me. What's also happening here is, I believe a lot of times the reason why the seller will not contract with you is, yes, they are being an ostrich, but they are also trying to solve their problem.
Exactly.
And stay in the house. So they might be doing loan mods. You see them all trying to work on loan mods during this time frame?
Loan mods.
What about agents? Are they working with a lot of agents during this time?
A lot of them reach out to agents and see if they can list the house.
Okay, sometimes will you ever see them do FSBOs during this time?
For sale by owners, they'll look into bankruptcy, they'll look into all types of things.
Man, we don't. Bankruptcy is like a ninja conversation inside of foreclosure. Oh my gosh, that's a whole series. Michael will put that series on his YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, so good. Bankruptcy does so many things for the seller, so they are getting reached out to actually by bankruptcy attorneys through these situations as well. They're getting hit up by a lot of people.
Oh, a lot of people. And you have to be the one that's providing the most value to stand out.
Yeah, I mean, according to Michael's script, you're really the only person that's like, hey, I just want to make sure you have all the options, you have all the solutions, and I just want to help you out, right? That's basically it. So they're trying to get loan mods, they're trying to work with agents, FSBOs, they're trying to solve the problem. Maybe they're trying to borrow money from a family member to catch up their payments. They're doing everything possible. Anything else that you can think of that they're doing besides trying to work with real estate investors?
No, this stuff is good, but this might take them several weeks, a month, depending on your timeline. It could take them a very long time. But then at the end, we're talking the last couple weeks, right? I call it the last 10-day list in my market. This is when people they've tried to solve the problem. They've tried to get money to reinstate the loan. They've tried a loan mod and it failed because they didn't have a job. They talk to an agent and the agent says, oh, this house is trash, I'm not listing it. They've tried to sell it for sale by owner, they weren't getting any calls. Whatever the reason is, they haven't solved the situation. This is, as Pace wrote it, when reality sets in. And this is when all of your work from this period of time, when you're reaching out and you're giving value and you're connecting them with all of the different resources that you have, all of those have failed, all of a sudden the seller thinks, crap, I'm out of time. Who am I going to work with? And it's the person that has done all the things that we've talked about in all these videos. They've provided value, and they're going to want to work with you in this last 10-day period of time.
Why wouldn't I just skip all of this, Michael?
The seller?
No, me. The investor. Why don't I just skip all of that and go, I'm going to try and go for the low-hanging fruit here, but then I'm also going to just skip all of the middle side, and I'm just going to wait for the 10-day list?
You could, and you could get deals that way, but the reality is your relationship building right here. The seller builds trust with you. They know that you're going to keep following up with them this period of time, so they trust you here. Do I get deals here that I've never contacted the seller before? Yes, but I don't know how many of my messages from this period of time they've looked at. So that's why we do it the whole time, but yes, you could circle the drain. I call it circle the drain, where you're on that last 10-day list, you're just circling those sellers over and over. Or at the notice of default. I know we're getting kind of messy.
No, I love the messy.
The notice of default, we're circling that over and over and over. And then during this period of time, we're building relationship. That way on bookends, we can get some deals.
This is one of the most important things that I learned about the foreclosure process when I was doing it was, why could I not get deals right here? This was so hard for me. And what Michael just taught you was so important that you don't skip that part. What I did, because I didn't have Michael D. Frankie at the time, but door knocking Frankie, D. Frankie over here, he just broke it down for you. I went away from the middle of that portion when I was knocking doors myself. I'm like, I'm going to waste all of my time just reaching out to them. I'll just wait until this point. Well, guess what? Here's a couple things that you just said. Number one, the rapport here cannot be overstated. Number two, guess what? You will get a deal or two in the middle of that every once in a while. And so you're robbing yourself from building rapport, and you're robbing yourself from getting some deals while they're in the ostrich face, because there will be somebody like a loan mod, they'll say no. An agent's like, no. FSBO, they're getting bad feedback. You want to be there every freaking step of the way. You have only today to get a deal. What part of the process are you reaching out to?
If I want to get a deal today, I want to go where the biggest urgency is. Is there urgency in notice of default?
Yes.
Yeah, but not a crazy amount. This period of time, we're ostriching. This period of time, this is when people have to make a decision. And if I was going to get a deal today, I would find that last 10 days list, and I would door knock those, I would cold call those, I'd send Facebook messages, I would do whatever I can to get in front of that seller, because they're ready to do something, and it might as well be with you.
You know what I would be ready to do? Go over to Michael D. Frankie's YouTube channel, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.